this is the background. The background is that some pastors feel threatened by the seemingly independence of tent makers. All right.
Maybe I can start with that one.
All right, go on, sir. After you, Rema.
Yeah, so number one, when I left campus, clear in my mind that I was a tent maker, I started a special ministry among students. And that meant I was moving from place to place. Initially, I agreed to take some work in the church. Then there would always be a collision between I'm invited in one university, I'm the one counting offerings the same time. So when I finished my term of office, I told the pastor, sorry, I am having conflict between the two. Why don't I support something that does not require my continuous presence? I changed my church also to a larger church where they are not desperate for workers. Because the reason I'm going to church is to be able to be ministered to myself so I can go to minister to people in the marketplace. So I went to a larger church. And that's because I thought the best way of answering the question is to give my testimony. If you're in a church where you have 10 of you, the pastor needs you desperately. He will find it difficult when he sees you over-involved in the marketplace at the expense of the church. So that's the first thing I did. However, in the larger church, where I thought I'm not going to be needed, one day I just got a call from the pastor. And he said, I'd like you to join the deacon board. I said, Pastor, haven't you noticed I'm not regular in Sunday services? I said, I know that, but the deacon board does not meet on Sundays. You can continue. We want your management skills to help the church. I said, on that condition, I don't mind joining. That's how I got involved in the church with the understanding I'm a tent maker. And the pastor was very understanding. And that's how I have lived my life. Participating in the church as I am able, giving my tithe as I am able, but in addition to that, open to the industry to help where God is opening doors available to them. So, the first thing is, please recognize the pastor. Let the pastor know he is your pastor and recognize him. That's the first thing you must know as a tent maker. Do not have the kind of pride, I don't need you. It's not biblical. Everybody must have a pastor. Nobody should be without a pastor. So have a congregation which you call your home base. And let him know, like I did, that you are my pastor, but because of my involvement in the marketplace, I can't do more than this. That's the first thing. Number two, I think we now need to introduce in Bible schools, and I'm now talking to the organizer of this conference, or at least the organizer of this conference. We need to talk to Bible schools so that we accurately tell the Bible school trainers. Pastors must be trained to understand the place of tent making so that they are the ones going to be helping their congregation to become tent makers, to challenge them to tent making. When they come on Sunday, is to ask them, how did you serve the Lord during the week? And that we can do in Bible school. We can also do by talking to bishops and leaders of churches so they can bear the information. But that and importantly is to befriend the pastor. Once you are friends, he'll understand you. He can share. And once he accepts you, tell him about, can we encourage others to be tent makers? And that will be something that is possible. So it is pride of tent makers could frighten a pastor. Humility will help him to feel assured. And so that problem will not arise. Question number 4 was about work versus ministry. And sometimes you have a skill, and where you have gone to be a missionary, nobody needs that skill. I think from what I said, my emphasis would be, if you're a tent maker, aim at going to places where your skill can be used. Because the reason you are going to get a work permit in that nation is to do something. And in doing whatever your work permit allows you to do, you now do the ministry. I know there is a question of, but can you really have enough work? I keep telling people, please understand, and they has 24 hours. Out of those 24 hours, and the usual employer employs you for only 8 hours. You are left with 16 hours. But sometimes most senior people have to work extra, so they take another 2. So you are left with 14 hours. 14 hours, let's agree you sleep 6. You are still left with how many? 8 hours. 8 hours is like a full-time missionary, like the previous speaker was talking about. There is a lot of time. People and Christians use them for taking alcohol, playing golf, doing all kinds of things. The Christians, what do you do with the extra time? That means you can do a thorough job in your employment, and you still have enough time with your family, and you still have enough time to buy people tea and coffee during outside office hours in order to minister to them. So do not feel like you have to make a choice. Both of them can be done and done well. The only thing is you must understand, if you have employment, you are paid to work. So do not use office hours to do ministry. Use office hours to create contacts, which later, outside office hours, you actually follow them up with the gospel. I think that will be something that we need to mention. Now, I think I have dealt with that issue. Let me leave the other 2 issues to be dealt with.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Dr. Ma, are you still with us?
Yes, sir.